a sure thing. Change, change. Expect a miracle change. Watch me change when you change the way you look at things. The things you look at change. When you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. When you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. When you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. Now do 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 change. Do 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 change. Do 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 change. Do do do.
The views and opinions of our guest and hosts do not necessarily reflect those of New Thought Media Network, or any organization we may be affiliated with. Here at New Thought Media Network, we welcome freedom of speech and courageous conversations. There are many topics that can be difficult to navigate. Challenging the status quo and engaging in lively debate is important to expanding our understanding of one another, and life in general. Creating a peaceful world doesn't happen because no one disagrees, it happens from a willingness to understanding one another. In our programming, we strive to expand consciousness and assist people in creating remarkable lives. Your comments are welcome at info@ntmedia.org.
Good afternoon and welcome to Spirit Cafe Show.
Good afternoon. I'm Marg.
And I'm Cheryl.
And I'm Barbara Jean. Let us begin with our land acknowledgement. We work, live, and play on the historical and traditional territory of many Indigenous nations. And as we gather from many places on Turtle Island, we as settlers are grateful for the opportunity to meet here, and we thank all the generations who have taken care of this land for thousands of years, including the Métis, Inuit, and all Indigenous people. And though we are not of African descent, we are committed to continually acting in support of and in solidarity with Black communities seeking freedom and reparative justice in light of the history and ongoing legacy of slavery that continues to impact Black communities in Canada and the United States. By making this acknowledgement, we strive to be allies and take an active part in reconciliation. We recognize our oneness. We realize our history, and we choose to create a new reality. We are one.
Yes, Miigwech.
Miigwech. Thank you, Barbara. It is my pleasure to introduce Rudolph Tomlinson. We have not met in person. However, I had the pleasure of meeting him a few moments ago virtually and talked about his warm smile that gives me, I just want to hug him. Anyway, Rudolph Tomlinson, otherwise known as Rudy, is a multi-talented performer whose dynamic presence on stage has captivated audiences across Jamaica, the Caribbean, Northern America, and Canada. With a passion for singing, acting, and dancing, Rudy has seamlessly blended these disciplines to create unforgettable performances that inspire and uplift audiences. With a career spanning over a decade, Rudy has graced the stages of numerous prestigious companies and venues throughout Jamaica. From traditional theater productions to contemporary dance performances, he has showcased his versatility and skill in a variety of artistic mediums. Rudy performances are characterized by his infectious energy, powerful vocals, and emotive storytelling. Whether he's belting out a soulful ballad, embodying a complex character on stage, or executing, please excuse me for a second, executing intricate choreography with precision and grace, Rudolph consistently delivers performances that leave lasting impressions. Beyond Rudy's talent as a performer, he is also known for his dedication and his craft commitment to using his platform to inspire others. Rudy's passion extends beyond the stage. Inspired by the struggles of his community, he dedicated himself to social work, using his platform to raise awareness and support for causes close to his heart. Whether he was performing for a sold-out crowd or volunteering at local shelters, Rudy's commitment to both his art and community made him a beloved figure, leaving a lasting impact on all who crossed his path. And now he's going to cross your path. Welcome, Rudy.
Hi, Rudy.
Hey,
Hi.
guys.
Wow,
Rudy.
wonderful work you've been doing.
Yes,
Mhm.
indeed. Yes,
Yeah.
indeed.
So welcome
Yeah.
to our Courageous Conversations.
Thanks
And
for
today
having me.
we're grateful to have you. So grateful.
So
What do you want us to know about Rudy and what Rudy is up to these days?
Well, to know about Rudy, Rudy is very passionate about people making change and passionate about using the arts. I was just having a conversation about the fact that my style of artistry is really about, leaving somebody feeling empowered, joy, fulfilled, So whether I'm on stage or just doing, social work activities, I want to impart some level of empowerment to persons who I come in contact with. And that's just Rudy. That's just who I am. It's funny how I get the name Rudy, because
yeah, that's beautiful. Beautiful. And Rudy, today's topic was about how you support youth. And just before we actually came on live, we spoke about what's alive for you right now. Do you want to tell us?
Repeat that
What's
question?
alive? What's hot off the press? We spoke about things like TikTok, social media. How is that
Oh,
affecting our youth?
I think like this is the age of social media. Social media, as we all know, play a big part in youth development. I mean, you can go on social media and find anything. There is, and was just discussing that TikTok it plays a major part in development and how youth communicate and how youth socialize. People go on live to have conversation, open conversation about whatever there is. People go on live to express, whether through dance or music or song. People go on TikTok just to find out, what's hot, what's new, what's that new trending song, how can I, be involved in that. So it's just the era of youth these days, to use these social media platforms to express themselves. So yeah.
Mhm.
Do you think that
Mhm.
it has a positive as well as a negative impact? Like, is there pluses and minuses to
Yeah,
this?
there is positive and there is also negative, because while you can use that platform to learn, I must say in COVID, when TikTok, was at a high, because TikTok has been around before, but TikTok viewing and followers has heightened during COVID, and it was a learning platform, things that you would never even thought about happening all over the world. It was a platform to go on and find out what's happening, what's new, what's trending. I watch a whole court case with Johnny Depp on TikTok. So it's a learning space, but it depends on who you're following. There's negative attachments to it, because sometimes people go on live and they say stuff and do stuff that will come back to haunt them. And
Yeah.
sometimes people don't really think about these things. You go on social media, you make a post that will come back and haunt you, depending on the type of job you have. So yeah, there's a good side to it and there's a negative side to it. So, yeah.
Yeah. And the thing is, when we're young, we don't think about those consequences, right? Just even
No.
thinking, I was doing a bit of reading earlier about a jury that's being picked for a case, and they look into your social media and they see what you've posted and whether you have a bias about something or not, and and this can be as far back as 20 years, and never mind that you were a kid then and you're not, you don't think that anymore, or whatever the case may be. But that can actually impact your life in 20, 30, 40 years.
Or longer. Take a look at, look at Trudeau and his college days. That's come back to haunt him. So, and that's many years ago. So, yeah.
And I would just suggest not just the youth that use social media and send it out there and go, oh, whoops.
Yeah, absolutely. Anyone. Yeah, but especially I think it's, when, I don't know about you, Mark, but when I was young, oh my God, I was invincible, right? You think you know everything. You think you got it together. Your parents know nothing. Now I'm a grandmother. I know nothing.
Full circle living.
But it's funny though, because like for now youth, like so I'm born in like 1989. That's my era, right? And coming out of that era, so I'm like in middle ground.
Yeah.
I'm not that old and I'm not that young.
Yeah.
Right? I'm right in
One
the
foot
center.
in each.
And so my era would be a little bit more mindful of what we say on social media. The era now is not so mindful. They're very open, like let's have a conversation, and they will talk about anything. And even sometimes when you go on social media, you may see a live, you go like, well, why are they really saying this on social media? This is a little bit too personal. But you find that they say things and then think about it afterwards. Like, oh, did I just do that? So that's the kind of thing. So it's good that more mature audience have to keep educating persons just to say, hey, nothing is wrong with TikTok, nothing is wrong with social media, nothing is wrong with Instagram, but we just have to be mindful, because we have to be aware that these things will come to us too,
Well, and they can have devastating effects too, right? How many young people have taken their own lives because of being bullied or things that have been put out on social media that they feel shamed about? It can be really harmful.
It actually really is. And one of the things that Pierre and I did a few years ago is we did a training class that I had written for grades 4, 5, and 6. And we presented it. One of the things we had them do was take a tube of toothpaste, and they were in a race. So there was 3 teams and they were in a race to see how quickly they could empty that tube onto a long table, right? They had to make a nice straight line. We had tape on the table, measure it out. And then we told them to put it back.
Oops.
That's a great exercise.
They tried to put it back. They really did. They gave it a valiant effort. And the point is, once you put it out on social media, it's out there.
Yeah. Once you put it out your mouth, it's out there.
Once you put it out your mouth, it's out there. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think a lot of them, that exercise really landed for a lot of kids, just going, whoa. Whether or not it lasted for a long time, I don't know. But they had that momentary awareness of, ooh, I can't get back.
So before we go on, because I want to love you to talk about how you do, you've had experience educating youth as well, and what works really well. Now I forgot what I was going to ask you.
But I can chime in based on that
Yes.
question. So back home in Jamaica, I was very involved in the performing arts. You know,
Mhm.
performing art is one of the ways how I express myself as an
Mhm.
artist, through singing, acting, and dancing. I was with a lot of companies. I was with a Catholic ministry called Father Holang and Friends. Um, and we used to use musical theater to bring across a particular message. Then I was with this other youth company called the Ashe Company, and what we did, as I was sharing earlier, is that we look on varying social issues because we realize that with dealing with youths, I mean, the workshop setting, the oh, I'm at the board, you know, it's a little bit challenging now to get the attention of the youths. So what
Mhm.
we do now, we have been looking on social issues and to coin it in a way of like a musical theater element, right?
Mhm.
Is 45 minutes to bring across very important issues in musical theater. Sing
Mhm.
about it, dance about it, act about it, and they will bring a conversation. Because one
Mhm.
of the best thing is to for youths to identify themselves on a stage.
Yes.
That's me.
Yes.
That's my character. That's how I behave. You know, and
Yes.
then because they can identify, they can now start a conversation. You know,
Mhm.
because what we do, we show them the issues and then we show them the solution, how, you know, this could have been done
Mhm.
differently, you know.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
we find that young people especially gravitate to music.
Mhm.
So we put some of these things in songs. You
Yeah.
know, they gravitate to dance. So we put
Yeah.
some of these elements in dance as well. And
Amazing.
we find that the attention
Yeah.
is just so focused because, you know, you're so involved. That's
Yeah.
it. They're
Yeah.
involved. Yeah.
Yeah. They're engaged. They
They're
it
engaged.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I love
Mhm.
that. What a wonderful way to learn, right? It's
Yes.
more
Mhm.
experiential. And when something is experiential, when we can relate, like you say, to what's going on and say, oh, I see that in myself. That's me. I do that. Or
Mhm.
I thought I was alone. But, obviously other people have this experience too.
Mhm.
Um, I think that is such a powerful way of educating
Yeah.
and relating to the issues. So kudos, that's great. We should do more of that in schools.
I was thinking something
So
that
what
Rudy
we
said earlier about living your passion. I think that's what you said, you live your passion. And what
yeah.
you're describing to me says you're inviting the youth to express themselves through in a passionate way because the music and the dance can come from the heart, right?
And empowering. It's very empowering,
Yeah.
which is so key, right, Rudy?
Yeah.
Yeah. You were going to say
Yes,
something.
because what is also yeah, what's also impacting as well is that when we're in the creative process, we allow them to create. We
Mhm,
allow them to write their story. For example, when we're in a say a workshop with young people,
mhm,
and we ask the question, so what are some of the issues young people are facing, and how can we write about that? What songs
mhm,
can we, you know? And sometimes I will say, okay, I'm giving you 5 minutes to write the chorus of a song, something that's,
mhm.
you know, bothering you about, you know, social issues, and you will be surprised to see them coming up with these songs. And I said, okay, now that you write the song, let me hear the solution in the song. What would you sing
Mm,
about? They come
mm.
up with all of these things. So it's the involvement and the engagement of these young people through educating them and entertaining as well. You know,
Yeah, yeah. Very
um,
powerful. Yeah, carry
back
on.
home as well. Yeah, sure. Back home as well. Um, well, HIV is still an issue. STI is still an issue back home, and we we wanted to find a way to educate persons about the different STIs that are around,
Yeah.
in the world.
Yeah.
And the group, the Asher Company, they came up with a brilliant idea called Vibes in a World of Sexuality, right? And what they did at the time, they brought to life these STIs, HIV. She had a song and she stated all of the information about HIV. And same thing for gonorrhea. So all of these diseases were singing about themselves
Mm.
and what they can do to your body if the
All right.
condom wasn't used properly. And this went around in schools, and people are so engaged because they didn't even know some of these STI existed.
Yeah.
So it's just a different modus, different way of engaging young people, I would say.
Yeah. So you're empowering those who have those diseases, and they're used by using it to educate others, right? So it's actually building their self-esteem at the same time as whatever it is they're dealing with and they're moving through. And you spoke about, back home in Jamaica. That's great that you did that. And we're probably still dealing with those issues here in Canada, right?
Yeah.
I mean, and it's so, it's so important, I guess, why I'm at PWA volunteering, because PWA, People with
PWA,
AIDS Foundation, yes, People with AIDS Foundation,
People's AIDS.
Toronto
Thank you.
People with AIDS Foundation,
Yeah.
So I'm volunteering here, and I've interacted with persons living and affected with HIV. I've interacted with just young people, young migrants, and stuff like that. We've had conversations, and I have seen the issues. I have seen issues that need to be talked about. I have seen issues that need to be dealt with in terms of empowerment. I'm very big on empowerment because I think people in general need that level of empowerment. We go through so much in life, there's so much things happening that we can lose ourselves in it, and so through just encouraging somebody, showing them another path, showing them another way, that can create so much of an impact, and I'm very passionate about that, where you talk to somebody, sometimes somebody needs some level of encouragement, and I see that in the space. And so what I brought to the space during the time I've been here is that we've had Black History Month activities. We've had International Women's Day activities. And I mean, there are more to come, because I think when people are engaged in a very empowering way, it can make so much of a difference.
Yeah.
It can make so much of a, and I think that's what I want to bring to the space. And that's what I want to bring to Canada, because each one reach one, each one teach one, and we all can do it together.
We certainly can.
I love that. Each one reach one,
And
teach one.
Yes.
Each one teach one. That's very cool.
Each one reach one, each one teach one.
Yeah, I love that. Sorry, Barbara. You were going to say?
I like that too. I was just wondering what sort of the top issues are today facing our youth. What are the biggest things they're having to deal with that we need to address?
I think from talking to young people is just a sense of self. Like, question is, what is my purpose? I find that a lot of young people have lost their purpose, have lost their passion. They're not sure, okay, what am I going to do? I don't know. I find that there are a lot of people, when you talk to them, they just don't know they don't know their career. They don't know what path to take. They have lost a sense of self. And I don't know, it may be social media can cause you to lose yourself, because there's so much things that people want to be. Oh, I want to be this person, and I want to be that person, and I'm too slim, and I'm too fat, and I'm too, there's so much distraction that you lose a sense of who you are and where you want to go. And I find with talking to young people, that's one of the biggest thing. What's the career? What's the goal? Where you want to just
And
don't know.
the expectation to know, right? The
Yeah.
expectation to know right now, like this
Yes.
year kind of thing. Like,
Yeah.
and what's the alternative?
Do you
Yes.
think?
So
Do
go
you think?
ahead.
Do you think the way that we educate our children, the way we raise our children, that we're actually creating that problem for them? They don't know who they are because they've been trying to fit into the mold their parents or community have put them in.
I think that that's also problematic in the sense where, there's always this idea of parenting in terms of, oh, I want you to be a lawyer, and I want you to be a doctor, and I want you to. So the parents, I want you, and that's the problem sometimes, where
Yeah.
me as a parent, I want you to become this. Not the child saying, oh, mommy, daddy, I want to do this. So
Especially
sometimes I think.
immigrant families, right?
Exactly. So the expectation, so take for example, I was talking to this, yes, I was talking to a young man 2 weeks ago, true story, and in Canada. And I had a conversation with the parent first. And she was expressing, he's so problematic, and he's troublesome, and he's just not focused, and all of these things. And I said, okay. I went to the young man and I had a discussion. I said, what's happening? What's happening? And he said to me, Uncle Rudy, the real truth is I'm not allowed to be myself.
Yeah.
I want to do acting. That's what I want to do. But they don't want me to do that.
Yeah.
They don't want me to do that. And I was like, oh, that's the problem. So you are forcing this person to be a particular thing, and he doesn't want to do that. And no, he's just left in this hole, and he just lose himself. He will lose himself. So it's a level of confusion,
Yeah.
So
I think
and I find that's yeah.
I think that happens an awful lot, is that, parents are a little bit confused about their role, and I know I'm a mother of 4, and I know that for the first 3 of them, I had a plan, and it didn't work. It didn't work. And when my youngest son was really struggling, here I am, praying and stuff that he'll smarten up and get with the program and find his way, only to discover that I was the one who needed to change. I wasn't seeing him for who he is. I was projecting onto him my fear, that if somehow you don't do this or do that, you're not going to have a great life. I want you to have a great life. So I think parents have good intention. They want kids to have the best, but they go about it in the wrong way. So before we go any further, we're going to take a brief commercial break, and then we're going to come back to talk a little bit more with Rudy about how to be.
So quickly.
See
you soon.
We'll be right back watching New Thought Media Network.
Please help us say thank you to our organizational sponsors, including the Hepperlin Foundation, Affiliated New Thought Network, International New Thought Alliance, Science of Mind Archives and Library Foundation, Center for Spiritual Living Denver, Center for Spiritual Living Midtown, New Thought, Philadelphia, Planned Happiness Institute, Summit Center for Spiritual Living, One Heart Retreats, Center for Spiritual Living on the Lake, Unity Spiritual Center, Kitchener, Om Center for Spiritual Living, La Mesa, Satya Center, Center for Spiritual Living, North Jersey, Unity of Savannah, and Center for Spiritual Living, Seattle, as well as all of our individual donors. Thank you for making New Thought Media Network a place to be. Please come be you. And remember, like, share, and subscribe.
And we're back. So go ahead, Cheryl.
I wanted to say before we went to break, it was like on the tip. First of all, that went so fast because this is such an engaging conversation.
Yeah.
But I read Khalil Gibran, I don't know how many, when I was a teenager, right? The Prophet. And there's certain things I remember. And the one that I've always tried to remind myself is your children come through you, not from you, right? Which is something that I try to remember. It doesn't mean that I didn't smother them with love, which can also be not so good. But
you can't. No, love is always right. Love is always right. Yeah, love is always right.
Yeah. Well, but I thought about that, and then the other thing I wanted to ask you, because I really want to continue this conversation. When you spoke about, when you were born and how you sort of in the middle, and how you were more careful about what you said and what you put out there than the generation today. Am I right or not really?
Repeat the question.
You spoke about being in the middle of one generation to another. And my question was, because you said you remember, not being as open and sharing so much openly and, keeping things private is my understanding. And I was just thinking, what do you think is the difference from one generation to another?
Maybe culture and time. I think, the world is just evolving in terms of how open we are. There are a lot of nuances and I guess time and culture, because there's a little rift between millennials and Gen Z. And I think with the era of social media, in our culture which is so, we call it now, it is so embedded in our culture now. I think this generation, which is a Gen Z, it just leads them to be a little bit more open, because in the millennial stage, coming out of that era, we weren't so, that was the development of the social media era, but no, it is here. And I think with that platform, this generation is more relaxed, I would say. They're, I guess, more secure in themselves to be a little bit more open. I'm still trying to figure it out, but I think social media has a big part to play in this new generation, this new culture, this new era.
I think you answered
Social
it for
media
me.
is.
Yeah. I
Go
think you
ahead.
answered it, Rudy. I think the Gen Zs are born into it, whereas
Yes,
you experienced the discovery of it. So it wasn't
exactly.
something you were born into. And I think
Mm.
that's probably so when you're born into something, it's more natural. It's more, it's always been there. It's what you know. And yeah,
I think,
that's a very good point.
and I think too,
And
the
mhm.
openness is coming from, like, we're starting to see, if we go back to when I was a child, back in the dark ages, when we go back to those times, it was what happens in the house stays in the house. And I think what that led to was a lot of abuse and things that were never reported, things that were never talked about. It's like the casting couch in Hollywood, or um, the way that different people have been treated, because it's all been kind of underneath our vision. It's been hidden. It's there, but
but
it's hidden.
but
Nobody's talking about it, but now everybody's talking about it.
but I also want to say, and it just it just occurred to me,
Yeah.
COVID had a big part to play in that.
Oh, yes.
COVID had a big part to play in people being open,
Mhm.
um, because it was the time when you're at home, you had nowhere to go, you were so restricted, you only had social media, and as a part of your, just dealing with your mental health,
Yeah.
one would pick up their phone
Yeah.
and just goes on social media and express whatever,
Yeah.
because you had no one to talk to about it.
Yeah.
Some people may not have the connection to call, but here's
Mhm.
social media where I can reach millions of people,
And
and
I
I
can
can.
feel connected. I don't have to feel alone.
So I
Yeah.
think COVID had a big part to play in this new era,
Mhm.
of one expressing all that they are on social media. You find
Mhm.
that even, people using the bathroom, they say, "Oh, I'm going to the bathroom," and you're talking to millions of people on live. You
Mhm.
know, you people take shower on live. People do everything on social media. If I'm picking my nose, it goes on social media. There's this new, oh, I am all that,
Mhm.
So I think it was there. So social media was there, but COVID just broke the ice.
It
Right.
did.
Right.
It did.
Yeah.
Good
Yeah.
point. Yeah. Very good point.
Yeah.
I
I
love
think
it.
if I use myself as an example in what you're speaking of, I don't know that Zoom is considered social media or not, but I certainly allowed myself to come out more through Zoom. I had the courage to speak out more. In
Yeah.
person, not so much in the past. So,
Mhm.
again, I'll say that I'm on this show because of COVID and doing spirit groups through Zoom, et cetera. I developed a strength through that avenue.
Mhm.
Um, Sort of segue, you spoke about talking to the youth about finding their purpose. How would you encourage that? And probably an individual child, youth, depending on what question you would answer or how you would prompt them. But for somebody, I'm a junior, senior, and I still don't know what my purpose is. It's hard for me to go there. It always has been hard for me to go there. So someone like you who is going to youth and talking to them about what their purpose is, and I suggest that you would say whatever you want is okay without boundaries. So can you speak to how you encourage that type of conversation?
How
Yeah,
you would coach.
first of all, like for me, I try not to tell people what to do. I stay away from that.
Mhm.
I try to make suggestions as to, okay, how do you think you should go about doing something? I always feel like, our passion is always there, but is for us to act on it. So when I'm dealing with like youths in general, and I may say, what's the one thing that you always think about no matter what? What's
I
that
love
one thing? That is, when you go to sleep, you think about it. When you wake up, you think about it. What's that one thing that you're passionate about that is just there on your heart day in, day out? It could be painting, it could be cooking. What's that one thing? And if it's that one thing that you think about, then do it.
I
Do
love
it.
that.
Because
That.
it's there.
Yeah.
God has placed it in your heart. It is there. You think, you breathe, you sleep, it's on your mind, it's just there in your being. Do it.
No
Because
parameters.
do it, it's there.
Yeah.
So what's that one thing? That's the question. What is that one thing?
Yeah.
I think too that
And
the
some people, for some persons, they have more than just one thing. Some people like painting, some people like cooking. If it's there, then do it.
I
Do
think
it. There's
sometimes people think their purpose is where they're going to earn their living. It's like my purpose is my job rather than my life. And I
and
think that, yeah,
you can listen. I tell people all the time, just be strategic. You know, be
mm,
strategic in life, because you can pursue your passion and make, because God will make room for you. God will make
absolutely.
room for you.
Yeah.
You
And
just
then
need to,
there's
yeah.
and then there's the challenge, like the kid that the mother thought was so troublesome because he couldn't be himself because they wouldn't let him do what he loves. Right. So it's such a it's not an easy answer, right? It's not an easy
Yeah,
thing.
and it's something like, you know, I'm 35, right? And I had big dreams. Well, and I'm pursuing it one step at a time, and I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful, because sometimes people put age, on your dreams, like, oh, you're 35, so you're past that age. You're past,
We're
and
done.
but you read magazines, you read articles about other superstars, other creatives, other business owners that achieve their dreams in their 30s, in their 40s, in their 50s, in
Yeah.
their 60s. The sky is the limit.
Yeah.
The sky is the limit. And I tell people, every day I wake up is another opportunity.
Yeah.
Every single day
Yeah.
is another
One.
opportunity.
Yeah.
Is one for me to learn, and is one for me to make something great happen. And I'm all for it.
Mm-hmm.
I love
That's
that.
wonderful.
I love
Yeah.
it. I think when we remember too that when we come into life, we come in unique, right? Each one of us has a special
Mhm.
something we bring that nobody else has. And if that was really nurtured in us, maybe we would find our passion sooner.
I
Yeah.
think so
Yeah.
too. I think it's going to take time though, because we're not taught how to parent except from what we see from our own parents, which is often toxic, right? And so we pass that down. We try and be a little bit different, like we're trying each generation to be a little bit different than what we experience from our parents. Don't want to be my parent. Well, then you hear yourself, oops, I sound just like my mother.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So but I think I think that's part of the evolution. Maybe it's just that slowly evolving. Like if you look at how children are brought up today compared to our generation, it's so different. Children are heard, they are seen.
So
Rudy, you know, in my day, which I don't think you would have experienced, was children should be seen and not heard.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So yeah, that the fact
And I
that
can
they
speak. I can speak to that as well, because for some persons, for some young people that I've interacted with, they are still battling with a lot of emotional trauma that they have gone through in their childhood. I have a friend, and to this day he has self-esteem issues, because when we just met, he used to, you know, bleach, you will call it, his skin a lot, and he was already brown skin, and I was like, why are you doing that? It was like, well, I don't like how dark my face is. And I'm saying, but your face is not dark.
Mm,
He was like, no, but can't you see? Like, and I said, okay, what's your career again? He said he wanted to be a lawyer.
mm,
And I said, so you want to be a lawyer and have so much self-esteem issues? Don't you think that's going to affect when you're in the courtroom and all of that? He was going through a lot of self-esteem issues, and I realized that all of those issues were coming from his childhood days, because somebody say, oh, you're ugly, oh, you're that. So all of those things are left within. So even with some of the workshops that we do, we have to spend time cleaning out
yeah.
all of these things, that as because these things sometimes keep us from actually fulfilling our dreams.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. And the problem is it's in the subconscious. So we're not consciously aware of it, right? But the
That's
way
it.
we react, the way we behave, the way we see ourselves, that's how it shows up. Yeah.
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 So you
That's
have
it.
to
When did you get
Absolutely.
so smart, Rudy?
yeah. For 35.
Let me tell you, God has been so good. I must say that, you know, I'm always praying, and I I always ask God to just lead me. Yes, that's the one thing. And I must say I'm always around, you know, people who are so empowered, I would say, um, that they lead me to books. They lead me to like YouTube channel. Like I listen to you know, some inspirational stuff, right? Oprah. Um, what's his name again? Oprah. I listen to just inspirational empowerment stuff. The church that I go to UC Truth back in Jamaica. So I'm always reading books and stuff like that. So all of these things, and so I'm in Asha also, that the directors, we used to have empowerment workshops that kind of spark discussions, you know, and we will discuss about ourselves. We will
Yeah.
discuss about you know, some of the issues that we go through and the way how to resolve those issues. But I'm grateful for the church I go to. I now go to Verity Center of Truth,
Yeah.
and also that's a very strong empowerment space as well. Back home, UC Truth, Universal Center of Truth for Better Living, that's also an empowering space as well. So I am in spaces that are very, you know, impacting and empowering. And sometimes, you know, for young people, we have to surround ourselves with the right energy, the right
Yeah.
people that will just push us into our highest self. Back in Jamaica, you know, they said, show me your company and I'll tell you who you are. Meaning, if you surround yourself with persons who are not going anywhere, you will end up not going anywhere. That's the real truth. But if
Wow.
you surround yourself with persons who are always just evolving, always just knowing the truth of God, always empowering, always reading about growth and development, then you're forced to be that.
Yeah.
forced. And so sometimes it's just mindfulness. We have to be mindful, you know. We like sometimes like conversation, I have to be mindful that okay, this conversation is not for me.
Yeah.
Coming here to Canada, I can remember I was surrounded by just a few persons who were a little bit negative for me. And I just take myself away from that conversation because that negativity, it ain't gonna help me.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I will listen to, oh yes, Rudy, there's opportunity, there's growth, and there's so much. That's the conversation I want to listen to.
Yeah.
That's the conversation I want in my subconsciousness.
Yeah.
So yeah, you just have to really find the people that really speak this kind of light, in your space, and it's very impactful, so
That's
luckily
beautiful.
for me, yeah,
Yeah, but it
because
also sounds like experience, Rudy. It's the learning and the church and the reading, but I'm hearing also a lot of experience. By listening to other people, by hearing their stories, and sharing yours with them. I think that is also a huge way to really build our wisdom, because books bring knowledge, but do they bring wisdom?
and Cheryl, I want to say this. I'm going back to what Marge was saying, the question that she asked in terms of what caused me. So I grew up in the inner city, right? The ghetto, one would call it. And I made a decision. When I look around me, and my father and my mother, they were very instrumental in this as well. They would always remind me, look, you're not going to be that. Because I grew up in the ghetto where a lot of shootings and killings were
Right.
happening. A lot of young people were involved in some of these crimes. And I made a decision that I am not going to be that. I am going to be one that impacting, empowering, and just making a change, making a difference. I made a decision with the help of my mother and my father.
Beautiful.
They were also instrumental in that push.
So
They were
important.
also instrumental in
Yeah.
that push, to the point where if my father comes home and saw me outside just being idle, he would say, go inside, go inside. My father would do that. And I think those disciplinary actions that he instilled in me at the time, they were very impacting as well in my development and growth.
Yeah.
I think it's
Absolutely.
so important to have strong parents who are, letting you know what your potential is, because obviously they let you know that you had the potential for greatness, and they did everything in their power to help you to nurture your own passion and purpose as well, so that you could get out of a difficult situation and begin to forge a new pathway for yourself, which all of us have the ability to do. But many get caught in the trap of what's happening around me. So I love what you talk about. Show me your friends and you'll know who I am.
Yeah.
Who you're hanging out with really speaks volumes.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
No
That's
problem.
very important. Yeah. And I hear also in you strong character. Right. So from when you were young, with the support of your parents, you made that choice and you stuck to it. And that's great. And I think for what I'm thinking as well is you had supportive parents. They may have been strict, they may have been disciplinarian, but they were supportive.
Supportive. Very,
and that is so important in the child's growth.
it's very, very supportive.
Yeah, very.
Especially in the performing arts, that, I started out singing at festival competitions, and then I was invited at age 14 to be a part of a music ministry that does theater. They were very supportive. I can remember my father taking me to and from rehearsals. Even when there were no gas in his car, he was, making an effort to ensure that I was at rehearsals, picked me up from rehearsals, all of that. So they were very instrumental, despite of what, people may think or say. I think, they knew, they could see the bigger picture. They could, vision that, this guy is special,
Yeah.
even though to this day they really think of me in a very, high position, that my son,
Yeah.
and
And
I,
so they should, and so they
yes.
should.
So,
We've only got 4 minutes left.
mhm,
So,
yeah.
Rudy, what is one thing that you would really like to close today off with? If there's somebody listening, what is one thing they can take away that would be really important?
I would just say, know thyself. Know.
I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Know thyself. Cheryl, what about you?
Yeah, I like that. I
Lost her. Mark, how about you?
If I'm thinking of baking, I'm going to bake.
Yes.
You said if I'm thinking cooking, I'm going to cook.
Look.
It is a passion for me. It is a
Yeah.
passion for me. And I'd like to know if you're performing in Toronto.
Every
Right.
Sunday at Verity.
Sunday at Verity. And I'm also, I'm working on a musical. So when I have more information about that, of course, you'll be notified.
Lovely, lovely, lovely.
And what about you, Barbara?
I would say know thyself. Like my vision for CSL is awakening humanity to, like, awakening to your authentic sacred self. That's our vision, is helping people transform into that. So I think
can't
be
hear a thing.
you, because everybody else is taken. And Cheryl, back to you. You sort of popped out for a second there. And she did.
Oh, there she's gone again. She said she couldn't hear us.
Oh, well, luckily we could hear her throughout the whole show.
Yeah.
Oh, Rudy, it's been a real joy having you on the show and talking about the various things that we've been talking about when it comes to youth, because that is our future, and we have to make sure we take really good care of. Oh, and she's back.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Okay, so what do you
Yes.
want everybody to take away?
I think she's backstage now.
I can't hear. My sound's gone. So
Okay,
bye.
we can hear you.
Oh, you can?
Yes.
I cannot hear you guys, so I'm sorry.
Ah.
Yeah, I'm not sure what went on there. I lost connection. I'm not sure what's going on. All I want to say is, Rudy, it's been a wonderful hour with you. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. Learning, know thyself means going within, to me. And so I think that's a wonderful piece of advice for youth, because they're always looking outside of themselves for everything, and to start also appreciating what's inside of them as well, loving themselves inside and out.
Us old youth, we can use that too. That advice would be good for us as well.
Older, not old.
Older.
Older.
Thank you for joining us today, Rudy. We love you and appreciate you, and really appreciate the great work you're doing. I'm going to share one of your videos from Verity with these other two beautiful ladies so they can get a sense of your razzmatazz and everything you do that gets people on their toes. So thank you for being here. Thank you to my beautiful associates as well, and to the New Thought Media Network. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you all again next week.
No
Bye
problem.
for now. Thanks, Rudy.
Bye.
Bye.
On behalf of everyone at New Thought Media Network, thank you for being a member of our virtual family. Your financial contributions help share the New Thought message with people from around the world. Please visit and contribute at www.ntmedia.org/donate. New Thought Media Network, come be you. And please like, share, and subscribe. Until next time, peace and blessings.